The Little Bookroom by Eleanor Farjeon. Old Surly and the Boy. Dan Searle the shepherd, whose cottage was halfway up the down, was seldom seen in the village. He lived less in his cottage than in the shepherd's hut stationed hard by the wattled field, where the flocks he tended lived like natives in a hamlet. When Dan did, for any reason, appear in the village, the boys called him Old Surly and ran away from his threatening crook. No wonder he never cottoned to the farmer's idea that he should have a boy to help him. He couldn't seem to get on with boys at all, and least of all with little Ned Jewel. Ned was an orphan and lived with his aunt, looking forward to the day when he could go out to work. Young though he was, he already had a hankering to become she-boy to any man but Dan. A shepherd's life seemed to Ned to be the best life under the sun, and sheep were his passion. It was through Dan's finding him prowling one day about the sheepfold that their feud began. The shepherd chased him off with ugly words, and Ned defied him from a distance. After this, when Dan passed through the village, Ned's voice was louder than any in shouting, "Here comes Old Surly." Then Dan would growl, "Drat all boys, and you first, Ned Jewel." In spite of this, Ned more than once went up to the down again, to prowl around the community of the sheep, and was driven away with harder words each time. The two seemed bound together by their quarrel. One Christmas Eve, when an early snowstorm had blotted out the features of the hills, Ned's aunt went hastening from house to ask if he was there. The boy was missing, and by nightfall a second blizzard filled the villagers with fears for his fate. At dawn, when the storm abated, his aunt, going to the door to recommence her search, found Ned standing there like a boy in a dream. His tale was a queer one. Some of the older boys had told the little fellow that there was a bramble patch full of berries growing in the snow in Blicknell Bottom, and like a silly he had gone to look for it, and then the blizzard came, and he was lost among the downs. He could see nothing for the darkness and the stinging snow, but presently he stumbled against a little hut. The door opened, and a shepherd, bearded like Methuselah, lifted him in. My word, his eyes, they was like 2 stars, said Ned. He made me warm and gave me something nice to drink. And he sat by me all night, rubbing of me, and the hut was full of the brightness of his eyes. I couldn't see nothing but his eyes till I fell asleep, and when I woke up, here was I on the doorstep. "Who is the shepherd?" his aunt asked. "Nobody I know. I never see him before." The same wild night a thing had happened to Old Surly that he never told. The blizzard had blown up, and as he sat smoking in his hut, he heard a thud against the door, and on opening found a strange boy lying there. Dan took him in, covered and fed him, and sat for hours chafing his stiff limbs. The boy said nothing, but looked at the shepherd with such eyes as boy never had before or since, thought Dan, eyes like twin stars in the sky, and the hut was light with their shining. Dan fell asleep at last. When he woke it was day, and the unknown boy had disappeared. On Boxing Day, the shepherd had occasion to go down to the village. A boy or two set up the usual cry, "Old Surly," and Ned, who was among them, was about to echo the words. But his eyes met Dan's, and for a few moments the old man and the boy stared at each other as though they had been strangers. or friends meeting after a great while. Ned shut his mouth, and Dan passed on in silence to the farm. There, after finishing his business, he mentioned casually that he thought he could do with a boy in the new year. "You're welcome, as you know," said the farmer. "Who were you thinking of?" "That young Ned Jewel would do as well as another." "Would he go?" asked the farmer, who knew about their feud. "I think he mote," said Old Surly. To the surprise of everyone, Ned agreed, and on New Year's Day the young and the old shepherd came together.